Have you ever been to an art show and wondered, whoa, I absolutely love this work and I want to know more about this artist, but didn't know how to even approach the artist and ask them more questions? That is because we don't really know how to talk about art in our society, and I really want to bridge the gap with this platform. So my name's Kristine Cooper, and I'm building this platform called the Cooper Studio. So to dive in, I am going to share a little bit behind the scenes on where I came from. I grew up in Spokane, Washington, which is a very suburban town. It's very ho-hum. We got TJ Maxx. We have every commodity restaurant you can think of. It's very mellow, and I grew up there. And I moved a lot as a child, about I don't even remember. Like, to be honest, I think it's about 8 times. And I found artwork to be the one place where I could really let myself be real. And I found my flow state pretty much at a young age, which is pretty wild to me now that I think back. Flow state is that moment when you're creating and you lose track of time. You get into a moment where you're not thinking about what this artwork should look like. You start going into the place of, wow, this is really incredible. It feels good to use my hands in this way, and I can't believe I'm making this. So I tap into that a lot when I paint, and I use my artwork as a way of expressing myself. And I've been doing that since I was really young. I mostly used colored pencils and chalk and materials that are different than paint. And that is because paint was really expensive and my family did not have a lot of money. We didn't pay for me to take extra art classes. I did not get a lot of opportunities to even be exposed to art. I didn't even know art was a career you could do. So it's been a really interesting path for me to know that I loved art, but I didn't even know it was attainable as a thing that I could do in my life. And the next step for me was after I graduated high school, I went to college at Seattle Pacific University. I picked it because it was a liberal arts school, and I thought, wow, this is such a beautiful school, which I know now that you should never pick a school based on its beauty, but I totally did. I thought that the school was great, and I really liked that they used Fiesta ware plates, which, if you know what that means, it's a hilarious decision to make for a school. Anyways, I chose that school. I had a ton of scholarships because my family, again, didn't have a lot of money. I got a lot of grants, and I attended this beautiful liberal arts college and thought that I was going to become an art teacher, and I thought that was the practical path. So I started doing that, and halfway through my curriculum and my college time, they said, you know what, you're going to need to add another year to actually complete doing a full certificate to be an art teacher. And I said, no, I don't want to be in school any longer. So that was the moment when I decided that, okay, I'm just going to go full on and become an artist, which I'm going to study art. I'm going to have a liberal arts degree still, so I can do whatever I want. But I thought that, I should just go all in on my favorite thing. I really liked my professors at the Seattle Pacific University. I had some really great art professors that encouraged me to follow abstract art for the first time. And so I did, and I had this show that I'm going to show in the next image here. And I sold my first painting out of the show ever, and I had a lot of great feedback, and people felt really optimistic and inspired by what I put together for that show. So that was a really special moment for me, and I felt so alive doing that show. It was very challenging. I had never done abstract work before, and I actually thought it was going to be really easy. Turns out it's harder than landscapes. And I really enjoyed the process, and I let myself really become free and in tune with that process. I, after college, felt super intimidated to get my artwork out. And honestly, I stopped. I didn't even do shows for at least 6 to 8 months. And I decided to put a pause on it and kind of go recluse, to be honest. I started doing some other jobs, such as like working at a preschool, and I also started working at a store, and I was a little bit lost on what I wanted to do. And then I did a couple coffee shop shows in Seattle, and they just kind of did great. I started to sell artwork again, And at that point, I also decided to move to Bend, Oregon. I had a friend mention, hey, you're an artist. I think you're gonna really, really like Bend. And I was like, I haven't heard of Bend. And so I drove out on my own. I knew no one here, and I checked it out for the day, and it was ironically on a first Friday, so it was very artsy that night. And I fell in love. I just loved the feeling of driving over the mountains on a really rainy day and seeing the sunshine. And I really just enjoyed the climate. As soon as I got here, I felt really at home. And I know that's kind of weird to say, but I really genuinely did. So I ended up moving. I moved in summer of 2017 to Bend, knew no one. I got a job as a retail manager for a store downtown in home design, and I really enjoyed the job, and it helped me do my artwork in the evenings. So I would do this like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. job, get home, and I would be painting until like about 1 or 2 a.m. Keep in mind, I'm 22 years old. Like, I absolutely have the energy to do that. And so I really enjoyed that process, and I started getting my artwork out. One of my first shows that I ever had a lot of success in was at Fix and Repeat. And I remember hanging artwork up and getting calls, and people were like, I'm ready to buy. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this actually happening? 2018, 2019, okay, maybe I could do this for a full-time career. I had some people reaching out, interested in buying, and I didn't really know how to approach the whole business aspect of it, but I was very interested in seeing how I could make this my career, because I really wanted more time to spend on my creative ideas. And in 2020, that was a very pivotal year because I got laid off from my job and I decided to go full-time in my art, which is absolutely crazy when I think back on it. I didn't quite have enough sales and I didn't know what I was really doing, but I decided to do it anyways. And I am so proud of myself for doing it, because I decided to not take unemployment, which I'm not trying to gloat about that. I decided to not take it after I got laid off because I really wanted to see if I could learn how to make money myself. And I knew if I got the unemployment, I wouldn't feel that same encouragement. And I wanted to see if I could really just find my own stride. So I ended up creating the work and putting it out there, and I would mark it to $1,250 because that matched the price of my rent. And if anything could pay for my rent, I would consider it a done deal, and it was great. And so a lot of you guys probably got $1,250 for your painting back in the day, and that was a great deal for you and an amazing gift for me. So it was such a funny time, to be honest. And in the future years, I do learn more about business and I get myself more squared away and taken care of and out of credit card debt and the cycle of that. So today we're 6 years in, and I've learned so many things about being an artist, being an entrepreneur, and what I really want to do with my life. And I'm really in the process right now of building like a legacy and understanding more of who I want to be as I grow up. I want to encourage other younger artists to do their dream, to do what I did. I want to encourage people to invest in original artworks, because it's not just something I'm creating to sell. It's something that feels like a soul work. It feels like something that's really important to me to bring to life. And I cannot thank you enough for the people that have come through and supported my work. I have cried so many times, receiving a sale, and I honestly don't really get over it. There's so many times I walked out of a client's home shaking. I just can't believe that this is happening, and I think that that's one of those things where when you're doing what you're supposed to do in the universe, I think that things come through. And I really believe that I put the work in and I put the work out into the world. And when you are that vulnerable, the world supports you back. And it's been a really cool journey to see this come to life. And I'm really, really thankful again for every person that's come through and supported my work, whether that is just following me on these platforms or whether that is bringing my original paintings into your home. Not only does it support me and my family, it's making an amazing investment in creativity, human-made hands, in a time when AI is so relevant and so all over the place. I can probably speak for all of us. We're tired of AI. And when you invest in original artworks, when you invest in artists, you find that it's going to make a big difference in who we are as a culture. It's going to keep the culture alive, to be honest. And I really want that for our future.